Hi everybody, I'm Melinda Gallant and I want to welcome you to another Cape Conversations. Wow, we are in a great location and behind me is a very special, what somebody might have called the biggest Xbox in the world. I don't know, you might be right. So come along, let's have another Cape Conversations. Hi everybody, I can't believe it. I'm actually sitting at Mass Maritime. You know, that big campus that's across the Bourne Bridge in what was Cape Cod, but now the canal. We won't go there. Anyway, I am sitting with the head honcho, the big guy, the man who runs everything. Everybody calls him Sir. I won't call him sir because I'm a civilian and, you know, and I'm irreverent anyway, as you all know. So, but he's a charming gentleman. Oh my gosh, Admiral Francis Xavier McDonald, how are you? Welcome to
Melinda,
Cape
it's good to be here. Really good to be here.
And I did that for your mom, who's no longer with us, but she heard it in heaven.
Thank
and
you
she's
very much.
Excited, I'm sure, that you're on TV.
Yes, she's just glad that I'm not on the police log, so
well,
that's good news.
That's all right. I always say when they ask about my children, well, they're not axe murderers, so it's all good. So tell me, Admiral, tell me what goes on here. You know, this campus sits here and it's growing. Oh my gosh, you're building new buildings, I think, right?
Yes. Yep.
And you have a 92% acceptance rate. I mean, you guys are rocking and rolling.
It's an incredible program. So, I got to be honest with you, I'm very biased. I'm a graduate of the program.
No way.
I graduated in 1985, and I spent about just short of 10 years out in the commercial power plant industry. And always thought that the formula here was pretty special. And I've been back working here for 27 years now, and fortunate enough to be in this job for 7. And I tell folks the formula sounds simple, but we ask a lot of the students. And in a nutshell, it's a combination of maybe 4 main components. 1, all bachelor of science degrees aimed at employability at the baccalaureate level. 2, 6 months of real-world experience built into the program for 100% of the students. So everybody is involved in industry. They get that experience. They bring it back into the classroom. And they start to build a resume.
Gotcha.
The third piece is the regiment of cadets. For anybody who wants to drive ships, the federal government requires that they be in a regiment. Unlimited vessels, the big boys, container ships, tankers, cruise ships.
The ones that are sitting off California.
The ones that are waiting to offload goods off of Long Beach, California. You're absolutely right. You have to be in a regimented program. As we expanded, and this started back in the 90s, we kept the requirement of the regiment for all of the programs because of the payoff in the private sector. Companies are looking for folks that know how to work with people, that know how to be part of a team, and that ultimately can lead people. And the fourth piece of it is civic engagement and volunteerism. It sounds kind of funny, but we mandate volunteerism in the first semester. And we require our students to do 10 hours of community service.
Which is nothing when you think about it.
Nothing. It could be with Big Brothers Big Sisters, Special Olympics, you name it. And what we find is as soon as they start, it lights a spark that our students give thousands of hours back to the community.
Oh, that's great.
The combination of those 4 components puts them in high demand, whether that's out on ships, or working in power plants, working in renewable energy, working in the international business trade community, international trade. And probably our newest and fastest growing major is in emergency management and Homeland Security. Right. And we've been fortunate because it ends up being a fantastic return on investment.
Sure, for the parents.
For the parents.
Or the kids themselves.
And the students, right.
Right. So, you mentioned Homeland Security. So, I mean, I just drove on to the campus. You know, nobody stopped me, which is so unusual. Yep. People stop me a lot, but they didn't stop me. So, I have a question. So, you don't lock down this campus at all, right? Or did you at one time?
We certainly did during COVID for health reasons, but we are a public university, part of the state system, in the state university tier. And so, no, this is an open campus. People can come here and join the cadets for lunch if they want.
Oh, really? You don't open it up and say, from 12 to 1, you can adopt a cadet.
Maybe we could do a better job, because we have had cycle groups biking the Cape Cod Canal that'll come in and join us, or the Red Hat group of newcomers on the Cape come in and join us for lunch.
No way.
Yeah. So your
So that's
listeners
good.
are welcome to come over and join our cadets for lunch.
That's wonderful.
any
Do they
day.
have to make a special arrangement?
No, they don't.
Oh my gosh, that is wonderful. For some of the cadets, where do they come from, these cadets? From all over, or are they mostly from Massachusetts?
Mostly from Massachusetts. We draw a lot from eastern Massachusetts, as you might imagine, with the majors that are connected to the waterfront. And then it's up and down the eastern seaboard. So second biggest state is Connecticut, third New Jersey, and fourth is actually Florida.
Is that right? Well, I could certainly see Florida, and they've got environmental issues coming up in places like Miami and what have you. They're going to need your graduates, I think, at some point.
They have a huge coastline and a huge maritime infrastructure, and they do not have a maritime university.
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
It's amazing. So, okay, so this is what you're doing now as you're at. What changes have you made as Admiral? Or what have you, maybe not changes, maybe additions?
So what we've really tried to do is take a look at those sort of core strengths, if you will. So if you back up, even when I first came back and returned to work here, at that point in time, and for the first 100 years, there were two majors. We trained folks to be a deck officer, working their way up to captain or master of the vessel, or an engineering officer working their way up to be chief engineer, keeping those power plants working on board ships. We found that as shipping is fairly cyclic in the country, we would have good years and bad years. And so we started looking at diversifying, but we wanted to stay within those kind of core competencies, if you will.
Sure.
So as we added majors in industries where our graduates had morphed into. So the International Maritime Business Program is directly related to where those deck offices, where they came ashore. Port management, the Conley Terminal in Boston, working on freight forwarding, consolidation, moving trade. And folks are starting to hear more about this, but boy, depending on where you get the data, between 90 and 98% of what we touch and wear and drive and wash our clothes in comes here by ship. So the port movement of all those goods is huge. Another example is the Shoreside Engineering Program. Many graduates, and I'm one of them, ended up in these shoreside opportunities. Running power plants, some of the big ones like Pilgrim Nuclear, but all of the new stuff, gas turbine, all the new green energies, you can always find Massachusetts maritime grads at the helm, at the controls.
That's amazing. So logistics then, your graduates obviously learn all about logistics because obviously we have a supply issue currently, partially because of COVID, I guess.
I think you're right.
Partially because everything was shut down, and then the goods were finally made again, which come from other countries, and put on ships, and now they're sitting, as you said, off Long Beach. I will never forget, I have a sister who lives in California, and we go back and forth a lot. And in San Francisco, we took the ferry from, I think it's Oakland, but I could be wrong, over, and you go through this canal where there must be 100 ships piled up 14 stories tall with cargo, the big, like semi-tractor trailer
That's
things.
what they are.
And that was what, last time I was there, well, maybe 5 years ago, something like that, when we actually did that. We were just amazed how, and she laughed and she goes, well, where do you think everything comes from?
Everything comes from.
Which we know, but we don't know. So as a person who lives on land most of the time and is not on the water all the time, how have your graduates, how are they working with this? How do they figure all this out? Or is that part of their curriculum?
It is, and part of those internships that they do, where students who are studying for their Coast Guard license to drive those ships and run the power plants on those ships, they will be on our own training ship to get experience and placed out in industry by their junior year. Yeah. For the students that are in the shoreside majors, like the Maritime Business and Logistics program, those students will do internships with organizations, as far away as the Port of Miami or Port Canaveral, in New Jersey at Port Elizabeth, where you see all those containers coming in, or as close by as I said, Conley Terminal up in South Boston.
Wow, wow. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Admiral.
Well,
How long have you, well, you've been here 27 years.
27
so you
years.
live in the area, I assume.
Yeah, I grew up on the South Shore in Situate.
Yeah.
And I've been on the Cape for the 27 years that I've been back here in the town of Barnstable.
Yeah, nice.
Been active there locally on the school committee and involved with the Sturgis Charter School when that was first started a whole bunch of years ago.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was here as a student, and I will tell you, I was probably not the best regimental student, let's say.
Wait a minute. You didn't like that kind of military flair they have here?
Yeah, I came out of a Jesuit high school, and let's say I needed some more boundaries.
Did you go to BC High?
I did.
My grandson goes to BC High.
Wonderful.
Graduating this year.
And that place has changed quite a bit, too.
Yeah.
But what we see in the program here is the accountability for the choices you make.
Yeah.
And so I had to give up a few weekends sweeping the road and doing some extra duty, and it's in hindsight, it's time well spent.
They don't have you peeling potatoes.
No,
anymore.
they don't have you in scullery, not unless you're out on the training ship.
Yeah.
But for me, I love the camaraderie of the program. I love the environment where teachers knew your first name, which is good and bad. They know when you're in class, but they know when you're not in class.
Right.
And the combination of all that is I saw it as a graduating senior with companies coming to recruit you as a graduating senior. When I graduated back then, even with shipping flat, I think I had 3 job offers as a graduating engineer. And you fast forward to today, just last week, we had 170 organizations here in one night to recruit about 350 graduating seniors. It's just unbelievable.
And I heard a rumor that more companies wanted to come. You had no place for them.
No place.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, is what we say.
It's a wonderful, good problem to have. Well, here's the thing. Okay, as a parent, all right, and you're giving up your child to go do something for the rest of their life, you hope. We all know that sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't work. People, end up doing other things. However, you send your child here, you want to know that they're going to get something out of this. It's not like sending them, just to any school to just do anything. This has kind of specific indications on which direction you're going to go.
It's a great point. And so part of the payoff, we say, is the formula here.
Yeah.
But part of it is because we do let students know that are looking at us that we expect a lot out of them. There is some self-selection as folks are thinking about coming here. We really try to be clear about the credit load that they have to take in 4 years, the amount of internships that they have to do out in industry. The combination of those two means a baccalaureate program in the neighborhood of 140 or 150 credits, probably 5 years of work in a 4-year window.
Right.
And we try to let them know about the rigors of the regiment, that you are part of the group that keeps the dorms clean. You are part of the group that gets the engine room of the training ship lit off, even if it's between Christmas and New Year's getting ready for a sea term. You have people in your charge that you have to get through lifeboat quals and firefighting quals before you actually get to the next step. So
and you have to salute people.
And you do have to learn a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
Right?
I agree, and again, you can look at 18-year-olds kind of second guessing whether they want to jump into that. You can imagine if you go to a high school and if you talk to a gymnasium full of 18-year-olds and you said, hey, how many people want to go to college and get up at 5:30 in the morning and make their own bed and get out there and salute that flag every day? But for the students that are up for, as we say, kind of invest that sweat equity, they have the time of their life.
Right, right. Well, now tell me a little bit about, you have women here now, which is a good thing.
You say now, that was from the fall of 1977, but
I know,
some people still say, yeah, now,
well,
right? We were late to the table on
not not that late. I mean,
by our standards.
So that's great. But diversity, how do you solve that? How do you solve a problem like diversity?
That's a wonderful question. So yeah, women were first accepted to the academy in the fall of 1977. We've grown to the point that we're gender diversity. We probably are at about 14%, about 60 women in each incoming class. Likewise, to attract students of color, we've found challenges. Work around the waterfront, STEM, the uniformed environment has been, presents some barriers to entry.
Sure.
And there are folks around the state in the different gateway cities who don't even know these careers exist.
Oh, sure.
So if they don't know the careers exist, how are they going to find us when they're searching for colleges?
Right.
So in the 7 years I've been doing this, we have started high school outreach programs, summer camp programs. We go as early as middle school summer career exploration camps, where we work from either students from all over Cape Cod as part of the Advanced Studies and Leadership program.
Sure.
And we also have a number of other partnerships to include programs like the Ron Burton Training Village, or the Camp Harborview program that runs up out of Boston that Mayor Menino started, to try to get young people to understand that these incredible careers are out there that will provide fantastic social mobility, and this is the avenue to get there. So stay in your math classes, don't take the easy way out in high school, and come on down and meet our cadets.
Well, you know, my daughter is a college professor in Boston, and she talks about the millennials, and she gets a little nudgy about them once in a while. You know, oh my gosh, and she's a Gen Xer. So, and I assume you're probably a Gen Xer, that in between, right? You're the in-between,
somewhere in
whatever,
between.
Yeah. So, but she was saying to me, she said, you know, the problem is with the millennials is, it depends on where they came from, but a lot of them are so privileged, you know, because she teaches international, it's international, right? So she has, you know, kids from Dubai that, you know, have servants when they go home. It must be a challenge, though, dealing with kids who maybe have had maybe a little bit more than the run-of-the-mill.
It certainly has changed over the last few decades. If I could maybe make 2 points on that. One is we've seen the piece be, look, they're interested in the why. What's the reason? What's the payoff? So you hear, hey, we need you to do this. Well, why? They're not trying to be, you know, disrespectful. They just want to know the real reason.
Sure.
So we find that when we're talking to the young people, the why of this place is an easy one to talk about. So it seems to be a nice fit. And the other thing that I'd say, especially for the group of young people who choose to come to school here, because we've laid this out, that this is unlike any other program. You're going to have to work pretty hard to make this happen. In the words of my predecessor, Admiral Morris Bresnahan, he would always say that if you doubt the mettle of the next generation of young people, spend some time talking to our cadets and your confidence will be restored.
There you go.
And I believe that from the bottom of my heart. They're really fantastic.
Well, we are actually sitting in this beautiful building, and right behind us there's something very special here. And it's something not everybody has, I hear, right?
That's very true.
And
That's very true.
It's a simulator?
There is a ship's bridge simulator.
Wow.
That some people refer to as a $2 million Xbox. But,
well, that would be one reason for the millennials to come.
It works out great. We do a lot of training on our waterfront assets down there out in the real world, and every year we get underway on the training ship Kennedy, and you're out there again dealing with the problems that happen. But sometimes you're out there and it's beautiful days of steady state steaming, and you don't have an opportunity to put things into test.
Right. By
having a simulator that really allows you to build in injects on vessels from 100 feet to 1,000 feet, on harbors as close as Boston or far away as Singapore. The students will study that plan that they have to go from A to B. You might have to get to a certain pier in New York by this time, and you got to make this delivery. And then the faculty member working with the simulation staff will build in injects, curveballs, weather, ship in distress, a fire, and they have to respond. And it gives us that opportunity to sort of test those scenarios without having to do it out in the real world on our own vessels.
Well, and they learn how to dock without running into the dock.
They do. They do.
Which might be, it's kind of like parallel parking in a sense, right?
That's right. They run aground, all it is a letter grade and not an oil spill.
Right, which is, how scary would that be, right? And I'm sure it is. But they're trained in what to do if that happens, because sometimes life happens, right?
Yes, and the facility is used to retrain professional mariners that are out in the industry. So industry folks will come back for this kind of training.
Now, does every school have one of these?
This is one that is called a 360, so it gives you also what's happening on your port side, your starboard side, and also aft. So you're seeing they're becoming more common.
Which means your left, your right, and your back end?
Yes,
okay.
The pointy end, the round end.
I gotcha.
But we're getting to the point where they're becoming more commonplace, but when it was installed back in around 2011, it was the first in the United States.
Wow, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you ought to be pretty proud of that, I would think.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a reason for a kid to come here. They can use this.
It sure is.
You know. Now, do all the kids get a chance to do it?
The students studying for that Coast Guard license in navigation and marine transportation would use this simulator. Okay. Our other students use a number of other simulators and labs.
Yeah.
International business, our students are in an investing class where it's even better than a simulator. They manage an investment portfolio of $250,000.
Wow.
The students do. So they will do their studies and their investigation. They make their pitch at the end of the semester, and an investment board will decide how to reinvest that $250,000.
And that's for Mass Maritime?
Yes.
That is amazing.
Right. And our engineering students have fantastic labs and simulators to use. Our emergency management students have a functioning emergency operations training center. It looks a little like a nice-looking MEMA bunker, if you will. Mm-hmm. And that also is used by industry. In fact, the Pan Mass Challenge used it to be their security hub for their last Pan Mass Challenge.
Wow, wow.
So we try to really connect the real-world use of these spaces to our undergraduate training.
Which makes a huge difference when they go out into the world.
Absolutely.
They're not wrapped in, bubble wrap on a campus where they don't get that kind of experience.
You're absolutely right.
They don't get that kind of experience, I see. And do you have children?
I do. I do.
They don't like to be talked about, I'm sure, as they're normal kids.
Yeah, two that went through the Barnstable Public School systems, and they're both in New York working. One's busting into film editing, and the other is project manager in construction.
Wow.
So two very different personalities.
Yeah, but that's great, though. How wonderful is that? Boy and a girl?
A boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
Yeah.
All right, excellent.
And it sounds crazy, but the girl is in construction and my son is in the film editing.
I managed shopping centers for almost 30 years, so I understand that there's women like to do that kind of stuff, but we do it used to do it all the time as housewives.
Absolutely.
But now, we can actually get paid
for it.
Get paid for it.
I couldn't agree more.
It's much better. Well, we're going to go in and take a look at that simulator.
Wonderful.
And I'm excited about that for sure.
Let's do that.
All right, let's do it. We'll be right back. I'm with Captain Mike Burns, and he's guiding us. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm moving.
Yeah, it's quite realistic. Actually, the graphics are pretty impressive, but we're actually not moving at the moment.
We're not moving? What are we doing, just sitting in the water?
The simulator that we're standing on is stationary, and all of the motion that you perceive is done from the cameras that are above us right now.
So it's my eyes telling me.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So you're heading towards the Sandwich Power Plant.
That's correct. Yep, we're on a 100-foot Coast Guard cutter right now, and we are at the east end of the Cape Cod Canal, heading westbound towards the Academy.
Excellent. Now, what happens if you would veer off and run into the side there?
We would crash, and the exercise would stop, and a very nice voice would tell us that
you've just crashed.
Exactly.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So, as a cadet, will you have to be a senior to be up here and learn this, or when do you start this?
Different classes will be up here for courses over the course of their education here.
I see.
Generally, in their junior and senior year, when things would get more serious.
I see. So there's a lot of instruments here. So you've got everything. You've got to go forward, to go backwards, all of that, right?
We've got complete control of the ship here.
Yeah.
In addition, we've got our electronic chart display over on our right side and our radar on the left. two critical pieces of equipment that the mariner would use.
Sure, sure.
But none of those more important than these windows that we're looking out of right now.
Right, because visual is it, right?
Visual is very important, and you know, the greatest piece of safety gear on board is the mariner's training and intelligence.
I gotcha. Oh my gosh, you've simulated, I think you even have the fisherman's view there.
Sure do, yep.
That's very funny. I mean, it's not funny, but I can see you want it to be as exact as it possibly can be, right?
The more realistic it can be, the more that can be gained from the training.
Sure. So you do all of this, which we're going through now. Can you stop in the middle of the canal?
We can pause the exercise
I see.
at any point.
I see.
We can change the weather if need be.
Okay.
We can introduce traffic in different scenarios or an emergency situation.
So if we wanted to change the weather, what would happen?
We can change the sea state, or
I
we
see.
can make it light or dark, or
I see.
rain, snow, almost anything you can imagine, really.
Oh my gosh.
And we can actually make that happen here if you'd like to see it.
Sure, let's see it.
Okay.
Sure.
Stephen, can you increase the? There we go.
Oh my goodness. Yep. And I do feel like I'm moving.
Yep, you will feel, and it's a
Okay,
rolling
Stephen.
motion now. And now we're getting
there's
some
the
rain.
Excellent.
Yep.
White caps. Yeah.
And so we can actually
Oh my
make the
gosh.
visibility better or worse, so that as
I
our
got it. Wow.
when we look out the window, if that's diminished, then we go back to our training and to our instruments to help guide us through
That's
this
amazing.
restricted waterway. Yeah.
So, okay, so something's coming towards us, it looks like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't panic. They would just say, okay, we're going to go to the right or the left, or?
Yes. Generally, we'd want to pass port to port or left side to left side,
Right.
depending on the
So
situation.
it's just like driving.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep.
What do you do in foreign countries like Great Britain, where they do it the opposite way?
Generally, it's the same thing.
Oh, it is? I
For
see.
buoys, there may be certain instances in certain parts of the country and certain parts of the
see.
world where we may want to pass on the other side due to the if there was a current flowing and it was more advantageous or safer to make it the passage that way.
I see.
But in a routine
This is
situation like
amazing.
this, port to port.
Well, if I had kids today, I have kids, but they're all grown up.
Mm-hmm.
However, and through college and all that, but however I did, I would have said, why aren't you looking at Mass Maritime? I mean, this is an amazing feature for a college to have.
We're pretty proud of it.
I would think so.
Yeah, and it really is a great asset that we can put our cadets in so many different situations.
Sure.
And challenge them in a lot of ways that's safe, that we can go over the situation almost frame by frame and analyze what they did well, what
Right.
needs improvement, without any risk to the vessel themselves or the environment.
Right. Now, you do this, but you also work on something else for the Academy, and that's the offshore wind, right?
That is correct. Yeah, that's actually taking up a lot of our time right now.
Well, a lot of it's going on around here.
Sure, it's things are coming together very rapidly, and we are involved mainly in providing safety training to those that'll be working out in the industry, out on the wind farms themselves.
I see. And so, are those going to be college grads, or are these adults who've been working in the industry, but they need to learn how to do this other stuff?
It'll be a combination of both, but initially most of our students for that training program have been union members who will be involved in the construction
I see.
of the wind farms. But we do have some technicians that are coming here to renew their credentials. We've had scientific personnel here that are going to be doing some of the wildlife studies
I see.
out there. And so really anybody that sets foot on an offshore wind turbine is going to need at least that basic safety training that we're providing here.
And they're certified then, I suppose, or something, right?
Yes, so we train to the Global Wind Organization standard, which is an industry-developed, internationally recognized standard that is accepted all over the world.
And I want to point out we're just getting ready to go under the Sagamore Bridge. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. Yep. We can speed up a little bit if you like.
Of course, where are all those cars that are backed up in the summer?
Well, what we didn't tell you is just a bright winter day out there in January.
Okay. So back to so you're working on the one that would be off of Martha's Vineyard, I think it is?
That's correct. Well, really, the training that we provide is really is recognized all over the world, but primarily would be used for the first few projects that are happening south of Martha's Vineyard in Nantucket.
I see. So there are wind farms in lots of other places of the world. So these people could go and work there as well. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep.
Okay.
This is a requirement for almost any wind farm in the world.
I see.
And because we're training to a globally recognized standard.
Right.
It's accepted in so many different places.
Oh, that's amazing. This is truly amazing standing here because my knees are moving back and forth like I'm moving.
You're
but I'm
automatically
not moving.
compensating for it, whether you realize it. Yeah.
Right. That's
yeah,
really
and you
funny.
can actually, you may feel it when we step out and get back into the out of the simulated environment.
It really is. When you say simulator, you mean simulator.
It
for
truly
sure.
is as realistic as we can make it.
So this guy coming at us, he's not going to run into us, right?
He's not going to run into us, but I think this might be one of those cases where we meet him on a starboard to starboard.
I see. And is this?
Now he may
this
have
would be a test then, right?
Right.
Gotcha. So we're moving this way. He's in the wrong, right?
Not necessarily. Like I said, if for example the current was running in his direction, he may choose that it would be safer to follow that path and to stay to that side.
With the type of ship it is?
Being so much more smaller and maneuverable, we're able to accommodate that. We'd normally contact them and make arrangements in advance.
Just back to the offshore wind. You do this certificate program. So if I'm out there in the real world and I'm getting ready to go do offshore wind for my company, how would I find out that you provide that certification for my people?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. One of which is that the Academy is listed on the Global Wind Organization's website as an authorized training site.
I see.
Certainly our website, and we've been doing a good deal of outreach with a few networking organizations and the Mass Clean Energy Center. So we're listed as a supplier in their supply chain directory as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, great. I keep thinking, I keep calling you the best kept secret. We don't want that anymore, right?
We're working hard to get that secret out there, yeah.
Yes. But this alone is just truly amazing. It's too bad you can't have, like the select from all the towns come up here and just experience this, so they would know the kind of training these kids are getting. Would be really quite amazing.
Yeah, like I said, it's something that we're very proud of. It really adds a lot of value to the cadets' education.
Amazing.
And is just an example of some of the capabilities that we can provide to our students.
Truly, truly amazing. Well, this has just been fun.
It is fun. I always enjoy coming over here and getting a chance to drive.
You were real serious when we started, and now you're smiling because I think you like doing this.
This is why I came to Mass Maritime.
There you go. And where are you from?
I'm from Plymouth.
You're from Plymouth?
Yep.
And what did you do before?
Well, I've worked here for about 10 years, and prior to that, I was sailing deep sea as a captain on an oceanographic survey ship.
Oh, wow. That must have been fun.
That was a lot of fun. It was something different every day, and got to see a lot of the world as a part of that job.
Yeah. How wonderful.
And sailed with some great people.
Oh, that's great. Good for you. But you like being here now.
I do. Again, I work with some great people.
Yeah.
It's nice to be back at my alma mater.
Yeah.
And,
you graduated from here too?
I did. I'm actually a double buck, so I got my graduate and undergraduate degrees here.
Oh, wonderful. Good for you.
Yep. So a lot of people don't know that we have 3 graduate programs as well. Which
would be masters?
Masters of Science in Emergency Management, Facilities Management, and Maritime Business Management.
Wow. That's tremendous. That is tremendous. Well, again, thank you. I won't make you take your hands off of it. Now you're slowing. Are you slowing down or speeding up?
No, I'm slowing down a little bit. Just
Okay.
we've got a little bit more traffic up ahead.
I see.
So we're going to give ourselves more time to look at what's happening and make sure we take the safest course of action.
Excellent. And you have to work all the time with the canal people that are along the canal watching the boat traffic, correct?
Yes. Our marine department
Yeah.
does work with them quite closely. As you may or may not know, we have a smaller vessel called the Ranger.
I've heard of it, I think.
And so she makes regular trips with the cadets as well to do coastal navigation, anchoring exercises, man overboard drills, that type of thing. So they communicate regularly with the canal authorities, with the Corps of Engineers.
Wonderful.
And my department does as well if we're depending on what we're doing
Yeah.
out there that day.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I wonder what will happen when they build the 2 bridges. That'll be fun for you guys.
That
You'll
will
have
be
to add-
very interesting, and yeah,
You'll
we'll
have
have
to
to
add
upgrade
that
our
in.
have to upgrade
You'll have to
our
add that in.
database here. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Captain Burns.
Thank you
and
so much.
Good luck on that certification for offshore safety. You know.
Thank you.
for,
Yeah, we're
wind
working
farms.
hard on that every day, and
Wonderful.
and appreciate your support.
It's excellent. Listen, anything we can do to help Mass Maritime, we're here to do it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Admiral Francis Xavier McDonald. What a wonderful man. Oh my gosh, he was delightful. And he is the Admiral over Mass Maritime, where we are today. Oh, the simulator behind me and Captain Burns, who showed us how it works. It is absolutely phenomenal over here. And it's right in our backyard, so we should take advantage of it. It is tremendous. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time on another Cape Conversations.